before I found out that I had to make enough money to live on for the second half of the year, I used to get my nails done like clockwork every 2 to 3 weeks, and I used to get fakies because my own nails just wouldn't grow. They were really thin and weak, and they would just break or peel all the time, and they were so thin that they were really sharp, so whenever I just kind of accidentally brushed my hand against myself, I would cut my skin. So it became something of a habit to get fakies, and I really loved them. They were so pretty. Let me show you. So pretty, right? You can see why I was kind of addicted to getting them. But since then, I've transitioned back to growing my own nails because I can't afford to maintain those anymore, and I will be talking about that in my next video. But for now, I just wanted to make a video for those girls who had the same problem as I do, whose nails just won't grow. If you want to get fakies, because they are really gorgeous, I want to talk about the different kinds that you can get so that you can make a more informed decision when you first step into that nail bar, because it can be kind of daunting with all those choices. Now, all artificial nails basically fall under the two main umbrellas, the powders and the gels. And they'll try to sell it to you as different things. They'll say, oh, this powder is an acrylic powder, and this one is a gel powder. No, it's all the same. It's either powders or they are gels. The composition might be slightly different, but it's essentially the same thing. It does the same thing, which is they put a layer of plastic over your nail so that they're stronger and so that they look nicer. Now, they will also tell you that the gels are better for you than the powders, but it's not true at all, because with any kind of artificial nails, they have to file down the top layer of your nail in order to help the plastic adhere better so that your manicure will last you more than a week. Some places will not file your nail down if you're just getting an overlay, which means you're not getting an extension to your nail. You don't need it to be any longer, you just want it to be thicker. However, those do lift more quickly. So with all artificial nail products, they need to file down your nail in order to make it last. If they don't file down your nail, that's great, but it won't last as long. So basically all artificial nails are bad for you, but I get them anyway, and a lot of girls get them anyway just because they're so pretty. So let's start with the pros and cons of the powders. Now, the good thing about the powders is that they are, generally speaking, cheaper than gels, and for someone who has been an impoverished student for the past few years, that's a really good thing. Also, they're much more time efficient. They're much faster to get because you don't have to stick your hand in the UV light to let them cure. With the powders, as soon as they're dry, you're good to go, and they're really strong right away. Also, the thing that I love about powders is that it's really, really easy to fix chips and such, because I used to get my nails done in a square shape, and so the corners would sometimes chip off and things like that. Not very often, though, because fakies are really durable of all kind, but the thing about powders is that it's much easier to mend like broken corners and things like that when compared to gels. So those are the really good things about getting powder fakies. Now the cons include the fact that it can smell really bad. The solution that they dip their brush into to turn the powder into a liquidy gel-like consistency to sculpt over your nail. That solution smells really bad and some people can't handle it, but if you're a pro like me and you're used to it, then you're a-okay. And the second main con, my primary concern for powder fakies are that you require a really, really good nail tech. You need to find someone who's been doing it for absolutely ever, because it's not easy to sculpt using that liquidy powder substance. For a lot of less experienced nail techs, that your nails can look really fake when you get powdered ones because they'll pile it on really thick. And so with the powder fakies, you really need to find a nail tech who's super experienced, who can handle the powder really, really well. Otherwise, your nails can look really fake. So those are the pros and cons for powder fakies. Now onto the gels. The good thing about gels are that they are, generally speaking, a little more lightweight than the powders. It doesn't make a huge difference to me. I used to get both, but some people tell me that they really prefer the lightweightness of the gels, and also they are really durable. Personally, I find that the gels are not as easy to erode the tips as powders, although my nail techs, all of the ones I've had so far, swear that the powders are more durable. Personally, I find the opposite is true. Also, the gel fakies are generally thinner, which means they look a bit more natural, and they're a little more forgiving than powder, so if your nail tech is not as experienced, it's a little harder to go wrong with gel fakies. Also, the thing that I really like is that with the gel fakies that you get that you need to cure in the UV lights, you can get glitter. You can get glitter baked into your nail so that they don't come off, and they're so pretty and so glittery. So that's what I really like about gel nails. Now with the cons, the first one is the most obvious, which is they're generally more expensive than the powders, especially if you get like the seaweed gels or the bio gels or Brisa nails, which I really like. They're generally more costly. In the cities where I've lived, they cost about $50 to $65, I would say, dollars Canadian for a new set, and then they usually cost like $35 to $45 for a fill for the gels, and so they're a little more costly, but some people really prefer them, and so it's really worth it. Also, it takes absolutely forever to get a fill, because every time your nail tech brushes on a new layer, you have to stick your hand in the UV light to let it cure, and if it doesn't get cured enough, it'll be like kind of sticky and not glossy. So you really have to have a time commitment to sit down for an hour every time you need to get a fill. And the other thing about using UV lights is that if your nail tech isn't very experienced, if they follow your nail down too much, it's really painful to use the UV lights. It'll feel really hot, it'll feel like your fingers are burning, and like one of my nail techs taught me the trick where, like, so if this hand is like the UV light and I have my hand in there curing my nails, if you press down really hard, that puts a lot of pressure onto your fingers and you won't feel the pain as much. Or you can just take your hand out and put it back in as many times as you need to. But generally speaking, I don't like using UV lights because they can hurt sometimes. So those are the pros and cons for gels. Personally, I prefer the durability of the gels and the fact that I can get glitter because I really like glitter. However, if you're an impoverished student and you really want nicer nails, go with your acrylics. They look really nice too, pretty much as nice as the gels. So I would recommend just going with the powders. They're cheaper and they do pretty much the same thing, and they're just as durable, generally speaking. So those are my recommendations, and the thing that I really like about getting fakies is that you can get permanent French tips, which I really like because I think French tips are really elegant. And with the permanent French tips, what happens is that they put like a white plastic on the tip of your nail so that it doesn't come off. Like what they do is that they put on a layer of the clear stuff, whether it's powder or whether it's gel. They put on a layer of clear, and then they'll put on a layer of white on that. Sometimes they'll sand it down before they put on the white, and then they sand it all down to make it smooth and then put on the top layer. So I really like getting the permanent French tips because I think they're really elegant. However, if you're not going to pay attention to anything else I say, please pay attention to this. If you're going to get the permanent tips, please ask for soft white. If you get the bright white kind, you'll get pornstar nails. I characterize pornstar nails as being exceptionally thick and with the bright white French tips, and they're just not very classy. I mean, if that's the look you're going for, that's totally cool, but personally I think that the soft white looks way better, much more natural and much prettier in general. So those are my 2 cents on the different kinds of artificial nails that you can get. I personally like to get the gels when I can afford them. If not, powders are perfectly awesome. So I hope that has been helpful to those of you who want to get into using fakies. And if you want to learn about how to transition from fakies back to natural nails, I'll be talking about that in my next video. So until my next video, bye!